the biggest year in my bodybuilding career will be met with one of the hardest times in my life.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with the physique update from Blessing Afodibu. And from the first glance, it appears that not everyone can hit 320 pounds in the off-season and stay as lean as your reigning Mr. Olympia champion, Samson Dauda. And not everyone can make tremendous progress by staying shredded all year round, just like we saw with Derek Lunsford in the past couple of years. So there are definitely levels to this sport. But I have got to say, as long as Blessing can get shredded, it doesn't really matter how he looked like at the peak of his off-season bulk. So Blessing starts the first phase of his next contest prep next week. And considering that his first show, that is gonna be Pittsburgh Pro, which is scheduled in May. So that is plenty of time to get absolutely shredded and peeled to the bone. Now in my opinion, he did some miscalculations here. Because a guy like Blessing, he should have gone for the Arnold Brazil or Detroit Pro. Because how on earth is Blessing supposed to beat guys like Martin Fitzwater or Nick Fokker or maybe even Derek in Pittsburgh? No matter how much improvements he brings to this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro stage, no matter how much improvements he has been able to make in these past 16 or 17 months. Now we already know that all the eyes, they are gonna be on his quads. Because that is the biggest missing link in his physique. And if taking 16 or 17 months off and force feeding to get to 320 plus pounds, even if that doesn't significantly improve his quads, and if his quads doesn't look significantly improved on the stage, then I guess nothing ever will. So Blessing was able to win 2 shows back in 2022, but he needs a plan B here and look at some other shows, because this is gonna be the toughest show of the year to earn your Olympia qualification in. So were you guys even a little bit surprised that the former Miss Olympia, Derek Lunsford, came out so confidently after his announcement that he is gonna be doing his first ever Arnold next year?
Don't get me wrong, I'm coming to win, and I believe my best is the best in the world when I bring my best, and I expect nothing less than that.
No surprise there at all, as the man is a former Miss Olympia, and all of these statements made by Derek, that is coming for nothing less than a win here. That just proves one thing. He is immensely confident that he looked way better during the final few weeks leading into this year's Miss Olympia. But whatever they did in those last 4 weeks, that just clearly did not work for him, and that kind of backfired. And this was probably the most vulnerable package that Derek brought to the stage ever since he started competing in the Men's Open. Even back in 2022, he seemed to have a better overall balance, which was missing here, and which led him to losing the Olympia title. But this is really good for the sport, and Derek is definitely making this upcoming Arnold way more exciting, because this is gonna be like a redemption arc for him. And who knows, this might be the same comeback as we witnessed with Hadi Choopan, who lost the Olympia title last year, and he just came back and he slammed the door shut on everyone at this year's Arnold, Ohio. And it's been a while since Derek has been working with a new coach, and as of right now, he hasn't revealed a name just yet. And we have to keep in mind, this isn't a decision that he made at 11 weeks out mark. This was in his mind all the way after the Olympia this year. So this is gonna be more or less a 15 weeks prep for Derek Lunsford.
And at 15 weeks out, I started working with my new coach, and even at that point, I knew that I was coming back better. I was in a good spot at 15 weeks out.
Nick Walker's physique update is next. So a lack of enough quad sweep as well as not having the smallest waist on the stage, that will always be Nick's biggest weakness, and he fully knows that. But he has the mass, he has the freak factor, and on top of all that, he can get into that nasty kind of conditioning. So there is always gonna be a chance some of these other guys with better shapes, better genetics, better aesthetics, they're coming off. And we just saw it happen at the Olympia this year. I mean, what was Honey Rimbaud always known for? That the man just never misses. And his athletes, they are right on the money in terms of the peak. And this year we saw both of his guys, they missed. So Nick Fokker will always have a chance. Because if we just ignore his last showing, the New York Pro, the man has been pretty damn consistent for the most part of his pro career. Now that being said, I have got to say if all the other top guys, they are 100%, especially on the day of the show, then I'm just afraid Nick won't be able to beat him. Now why Nick did not go for this upcoming Arnold Classic? First of all, this comeback show for the mutant Nick Walker is gonna be the most important show of his career. And this is gonna set the tone on what Nick's future looks like. And there are multiple reasons why Nick Walker thought that he just won't be 100% for this upcoming Arnold. And Pittsburgh Pro, that will give him another 2 months to make sure he shows up ready to battle and at his all-time best. So speaking of Pittsburgh Pro, this upcoming battle between Martin and Nick, that is gonna be a battle to remember. Because let's just not forget that Nick was kinda off and he was still able to beat Martin at this year's New York Pro. Yes, Martin right now is top 4 in the world and he is way better than what we saw at the New York Pro. But Nick isn't gonna make things any easier for him. We did not get to see the 7 times Mr. Olympia Phil Heath train arms a lot during his Olympia reign because according to his coach Honey Rambod, Phil's arms grew no matter what he did, and the arms were such a strong point for Phil so early during his career that he focused on the other parts of his body to create more of a balance in the rest of his physique. Now even as an amateur, Phil had those unreal arms, and it was basically those arms which made Jay Cutler take a notice that this guy can be something when Phil Heath was amateur. Now fast forward to now, today, Phil Heath at the age of 45, 5th year into his retirement, and even now you look at his arms and how they are currently looking, and there is just no exaggeration in saying that considering he only eats 3 meals per day, those are still one of the best arms in the world. Now you always have people asking Phil Heath to make a comeback and see how he's gonna do against all of the top guys of today. Well, I think Phil Heath's prime physique, 2011 and 2013, that is probably the greatest Miss Olympia winning physique of all time. And there is just only one man who can beat that, and that was the greatest of all time, Ronnie Coleman. So Phil's prime physique, that would have won the Olympia title in any of the last 5 years. But Phil Heath right now is enjoying the retired life, and that too way too much, and he earned it, so there will never be a comeback, because the man just has nothing left to prove. The Romania Pro champion Rafael Brandao is going through a long recovery phase, because this has been a very long season for Rafael Brandao. He did a total of 4 shows this year, starting with the Arnold, Ohio, and after looking at his competitive season, one can say that Rafael isn't just one of those guys whose physique get better as they compete more often. His body was just burnt out at the Arnold Brazil, the first show that he won this year, and we saw the same pattern from Rafael at his last show, which was Romania Pro. There was a lot of hype behind Rafael Brandao going into this year's Miss Olympia, as Rafael himself was expecting that is gonna become a real force in the Olympia top 5 this year. But he still has some gaps in his physique that he needs to fill. He still needs more size, and he still needs more mass, more thickness, and most importantly, he needs to get as shredded as some of these other top guys, like he was at the Arnold Classic Ohio stage. So there will most likely be no competitions for Rafael Brandao next year, other than the one show that matters the most, the Olympia next year, which is gonna be in October. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.